Oh, this is mad, isn't it? This is all completely mad.
You should shut your mouth. And if
she thinks it's going to be great. You can be really nasty.
Today, at the so-called Sussex summit in Balmoral, Prince William has secured a promise from King Charles that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will not officially return as working royals.
Balmoral now, this is where the royals always have a holiday at this time of year there, but it has turned into a kind of emergency crisis summit about what the royal family are going to do about this pair of ingrates, the Sussexes, coming back from America.
This is absolutely wild, isn't it? Truly unbelievable. Once again, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle find themselves on the outside looking in, far removed from the heart of the British monarchy. Just today, at what's now being called the Sussex Summit, a high-stakes meeting held at the iconic Balmoral Castle, a historic decision was sealed. Prince William managed to secure a firm commitment from King Charles. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will not be welcomed back as official working members of the royal family. That's right, no royal duties, no official titles, no coming back into the fold. Let's rewind a bit. This week's summit at Balmoral has brought together some of the most senior members of the royal family under one roof, a rare and significant gathering that's charged with emotions and undercurrents. Prince William was there, standing strong, joined by his sister, Princess Anne, the charming Tyndalls, and the Earl and Countess of Wessex, Edward and Sophie, all present in a show of unity and purpose. The gravity of this gathering cannot be overstated. William and Catherine.
Okay, so that is why this week's Sussex summit happening right now at Balmoral Castle, attended by most senior royals. Prince William is there, Princess Anne is there, the Tyndalls are there, Edward is there, Sophie is there, is becoming so significant. William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, briefing to their close ally in the royal rota, Russell Myers of the Daily Mirror, who reported today Prince William is adamant there can be no way back for Harry and Meghan. Friends of the couple saying while they cannot forgive the Sussexes, Oliver Wales is adding, what Harry and Meghan choose to do is up to them. As far as William and Catherine are concerned, they have left that period of their lives behind them many years.
The Princess and Prince of Wales took the personal step to communicate directly with their trusted friend and royal correspondent, Russell Myers of the Daily Mirror, briefing him on the summit's outcome in a candid, no-holds-barred manner. According to Myers' report, Prince William is absolutely unwavering. There is simply no path back for Harry and Meghan into the circle of working royals. It's a firm stance that some friends of the Sussexes find hard to accept, claiming there's simply no forgiveness or reconciliation in sight from William and Catherine. The message is clear. Harry and Meghan's actions and choices are theirs alone. But for William and Catherine, that chapter of their lives has been firmly closed for years now. What's more striking is the confirmation of something we've hinted at before since the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II last September 2022. William and Harry have had zero direct contact.
Yes, but I've heard that the King is having a long conversation with William to work out how they can do it. They have already said that they don't want them to come up for any things that they're doing, Christmas or anything. They're not going to take part in that. So as a first move, I think that's not too bad.
Then confirming what I have long reported, William has not spoken in person to his brother since the late Queen Elizabeth II's funeral. That was in September 2022, and they have not been in contact either on the phone or via text, and says, but surely before Harry and Meg's get out the party streamers and welcome home banners for themselves, Harry owes his poor pa a very public apology. Not a phone call, not a private word over tea at Highgrove, public, said where the country that mourned Elizabeth II can hear it.
No face-to-face meetings, no phone calls, no text messages whatsoever. Adding another layer to the story is a royal insider who spoke on the condition of anonymity, revealing the emotional load the family has been carrying, especially around Catherine's battle with cancer. This time of uncertainty and turmoil has only reinforced the family's tight-knit nature. Despite whispers and rumors suggesting Harry was ready to make peace or perhaps return, those hopes seem to be fading fast. The onlookers wonder, before Harry and Meghan reconcile with the family to regain royal duties, there's an unspoken question hanging in the air. What must really happen for the family gates to open again? Picture this: the fans lining the streets, waving streamers, and unfurling welcome home banners, bright and bold, everyone ready to celebrate. But amid this fanfare, Harry found himself facing a harsh reality. He owed his legal team a very public apology, not just a discreet phone call or a quiet word exchanged over tea at Highgrove. No, this was a declaration meant to be loud, clear, and out there for the whole nation to hear, especially to a country still united in mourning for Queen Elizabeth II. Now, this wasn't some shadowy rumor whispered through palace corridors or off-the-record insiders dropping secrets. This came straight from a judge's mouth.
Knew they were going to have to pay a significant amount of costs. They wanted to pay £7.5 million this month. The judge said, no, for now, you pay £9.5 million. But, and this is the big but, your total bill is uncapped. This is their exclusive reporting. Delusional Prince Harry and Meghan Markle sought US political clout far beyond dreams of any royal since King George III, the Post has learned, with the Duchess of Sussex angling to take over the Senate seat held by Kamala Harris, who requested a sit-down with California Governor Gavin Newsom because she wanted to be considered to be appointed to the seat held by Harris, which she vacated just before becoming vice president on January the 20th, 2021. The source added that the discussion was publicly described as a welcome to California chat to head off potential inquiries.
In a courtroom, no less, that very same week, the moment the cold, hard figures hit the docket numbers in the millions, it suddenly became impossible for Harry to ignore the mounting financial strain. We're talking about £9.5 million due this very month. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, a mere installment against a legal bill reportedly still wide open. No fixed limit, no ceiling placed, just an ever-growing mountain of costs hanging over him. Imagine anyone facing that kind of financial pressure. It's enough to make you reconsider everything, your schedule, your plans, even your future. But if money alone were the story, it would be a tale as old as time. Two people move to America, the initial excitement fades, lucrative contracts end, and the spotlight dims. Pretty straightforward, right? But here's where things get unusual. This story wasn't just about a big legal loss or career slowdowns. It took a twist that no one saw coming. On that very day, tucked between the headlines in an American newspaper, a detail emerged so startling it almost slipped under the radar.
Late 2021, and both Harry and Meghan requested an Oval Office meeting with Joe Biden, as well as accommodation at nearby Blair House. That is a perk reserved for foreign leaders on state visits, multiple sources say. White House staff quickly rejected the idea, with one source noting the spectacle of Harry and Meghan sitting down with the leader of the free world would have caused a major diplomatic kerfuffle with number 10 Downing Street and the British royal family. Another source, a former Biden aide, said the President and First Lady Jill Biden, long-standing admirers of Queen Elizabeth II, didn't want to get into a family squabble by hosting the rogue royals. Ultimately, the couple's attempt to become kingmakers fizzled out, similar to their ambitions in Hollywood and the lifestyle space.
While Britain was fixated on royal doorways and staggering legal fees, this hidden detail barely made a ripple. But once you catch sight of what was unfolding across the Atlantic, the timing of Harry and Meghan's move back home suddenly feels far from coincidental. The secret at the center? A coveted Senate seat, the very one Kamala Harris once held in California. And that, my friends, changes the entire game. This isn't about some honorary role, a flashy ambassador title, or a feel-good charity gig. No, we're talking about a real, powerful seat in the United States Senate. That's a game changer. This kind of claim instantly elevates the story from the realm of typical celebrity headlines into the heart of high-stakes political drama. Suddenly, Meghan's goals aren't just about streaming contracts, fashion deals, or royal family connections. This suggestion hints at something far more significant, quietly unfolding behind the scenes. Now, consider how this all supposedly went down. A meeting was set up with California's governor, and publicly, it was described as nothing more than a polite, casual welcome chat. Nice and friendly, just a routine introduction, the kind of thing that happens all the time. But as soon as the story hit the public...
Been a regular at the Invictus Games, the sporting event for wounded veterans founded by Harry in 2014, but she ultimately stopped attending the Games after she became First Lady in January 2021, due once again to the optics surrounding Harry's departure from the UK. But as this proves, their ambitions in America were were huge. I mean, Meghan Markle literally thought that she was going to walk in and become the US Senator for California. And my reporting, remember at the time, is that ultimately she did believe that that would lead to a White House run. So, I mean, their grand plans have collapsed.
He has made the very surprising decision, given that he hates Britain and he thinks we're all racist and it's a dangerous place to bring his kids up. Maybe he's on the run from the US because perhaps, I venture, I'm speculating, maybe he is about to be caught out in terms of his visa application, and maybe ICE may well otherwise be knocking at his door and deporting him for real.
People started raising eyebrows. Was this really just a simple meet and greet, or was there something far weightier being discussed just out of the spotlight? What seemed like small talk now had all the hallmarks of a highly strategic political conversation. But here's the kicker: this meeting wasn't the climax of the story. It was only the opening act. What allegedly happened during and after this encounter is the detail that truly shakes the entire narrative to its core. That's when the story takes an audacious turn with the Blair House mention. Now, Blair House isn't just any upscale hotel or famous Washington landmark. It's the official guest residence of the United States, reserved exclusively for visiting heads of state and dignitaries of the highest rank. Presidents, prime ministers, even monarchs have stayed there when visiting DC. And, according to reports, Harry and Meghan requested to stay at Blair House. Pause for a moment and take in how significant that is. After stepping away from their official royal roles, they allegedly sought to be accommodated in a place reserved for the world's most prominent and respected global figures.
YouGov poll sampling more than 5,000 people of varying ages today, finding that just 21% of the public believe Harry and Meghan should return to Britain. 33% said they should not. Those figures are only exacerbated when focus is put on the answers of those aged 65 or older, with just 20% of the belief that Harry and Meghan should relocate to the UK.
The people of this country really do not want this pair to be completely forgiven and all their sins forgotten. They don't want that.
They haven't even apologised. They haven't even apologised.
Exactly. They want William and Catherine in particular, but also Anne, also Edward, all of them to stay strong and say, no, you don't just waltz back into this family, and you certainly don't get £5 million worth of taxpayers' money to fund your security.
The symbolism of that request is striking, almost like staking a claim to a new kind of status, one that blends their past royal identity with an emerging political presence in America. Whenever you hear about top-tier diplomatic visits, you might imagine seamless coordination and grand gestures, everything perfectly orchestrated behind the scenes. But the most eye-opening detail in this case wasn't about ceremony or protocol. It was about why a particular request tied to Harry and Meghan was denied. According to the report, officials turned it down because they feared that extending that kind of prestigious treatment to the couple could spark diplomatic tensions, particularly with key players like Downing Street and the King. That's when the critics really pounced. Here were Harry and Meghan, who had long positioned themselves as stepping away from the royal spotlight, seeking independence from what they called the royal machine. Yet, this request, as reported, suggested they still wanted to tap into some of the exclusivity and cachet that came with their royal status. They didn't succeed in rebuilding the monarchy's image in the US.
Do you notice he's just pushing this line, isn't he? They just have to get their security paid for by us. That's why this is going to become a massive political hot potato, because we don't want to pay £5 million a year, as Di Davies predicts, for these grifters who thinks we're racist and who have spent years slagging off the British royal family and the UK itself.
Remember that an armoured car now, a BMW or a Mercedes or any of these top end, will cost you nearly £500,000. To have what's known as a B7. In other words, it will protect you from most attacks by a gun, explosion, and all the rest of it. So presumably, as they're so paranoid about their safety, they will have to go and take the children to school in these armoured cars to and from. So that's $1 million before you've started.
But observers argued that they seemed eager to see how far that royal allure could still carry them across the Atlantic. The label Rogue Royals reportedly came from a former Biden aide, not some catchy phrase fans or critics conjured up on social media. And what made the situation even more complex was that this wasn't about party lines or political rivalries. The source of the hesitation was far more personal. rooted in a deep respect that the Bidens held for Queen Elizabeth II. The White House didn't want to get entangled in what felt like a simmering royal family conflict. This created a delicate balancing act, one that ultimately spelled trouble for Harry, regardless of the influence his royal title might still hold in America. There were boundaries that even the Duke of Sussex couldn't cross, and this was a clear example of that one invitation refused, one door firmly shut. It's worth noting that Jill Biden, the current First Lady, had previously attended Invictus Games events even before stepping into the White House. Her presence at those events reflected genuine support for the mission and the veterans involved. But after moving into the White House, those appearances came to a sudden halt. According to insiders, the reason wasn't about the cause itself or the veterans.
Are purport to be so worried about security. Boy, who the hell advises them? As I've said before, it must be the same people who advise their Uncle Andrew, because, in my opinion, they're totally off the scale of nonsenses. And frankly, I think most of us are fed up to the teeth of hearing about the pair of them. I wish they'd go somewhere, but don't come here.
Being here today, it looks like Meghan has essentially just got off on the worst possible foot for someone who is looking to relocate to another country. Not confirmed, okay? However, what is confirmed is that there is absolutely no consideration for that woman, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, to be considered for any role on the Netflix show, The Gentleman.
Both of which she wholeheartedly supports. Instead, it was about the political and diplomatic optics of sharing the stage with Harry. And that's where the sting of this story really lies. The Invictus Games symbolize courage, healing, and unity themes that resonate universally, but when politics and royal drama creep in, even causes as noble as this can become entangled in complex diplomatic webs. Among all of Harry's efforts after stepping back from royal life, one of his most admired initiatives centered on supporting wounded, injured, and sick service members and veterans. It was a cause close to his heart and one that earned widespread respect. Yet, even within this noble endeavor, whispers surfaced about how his ongoing family tensions were casting shadows, stirring subtle complications behind the scenes. If these accounts held true, Harry's name was no longer just a headline magnet. It had evolved into a sensitive factor that officials had to handle with great care and consideration. The very royal association that once unlocked extraordinary opportunities and goodwill was now seen as a potential source of delicate challenges, the kind that required cautious navigation rather than open celebration. Now, imagine the complex web of American politics and social circles that Harry was stepping into, and the unpredictable ladder of access critics claim to have mapped out. Was a Senate seat realistically within reach? No. How about gaining entry to the powerful inner circle of the Oval Office? Sometimes yes.
One that was going to give her £1 million. So she must have been delighted and think, oh, yes, I'll come, it's fine. But actually, he's run away because he thinks, obviously, she's making too much, she's talking too much.
Yeah, looks like that's not happening, the gentleman thing. Tina Brown, the former very close friend of Princess Diana, who's very in with royal circles, said that she's hearing that offer, the potential offer of a role in the third series of The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's Netflix TV series, has been withdrawn because Ritchie has decided that there's too much of a backlash. It's causing too much gossip, and he doesn't need it. So
there's no Netflix announcement. There was no Guy Ritchie announcement saying that we're going to have Meghan in our third season. There wasn't even an official commissioned season 3 for that matter. So how can you even have someone attached to something that wasn't even confirmed to even be in production?
Sometimes no. Official residence at Blair House? Not a chance. And inviting the First Lady to make an appearance at Invictus Games? That once enthusiastic possibility seemed to have evaporated into thin air. This, at first glance, might appear like routine political gatekeeping, but what made it so striking was who was making these decisions. According to reports, these weren't just whispers from William or palace insiders or sensational British tabloids complaining behind closed doors. No, these were American political figures and government officials, each assessing Harry's requests independently, and concluding that certain invitations or engagements simply weren't fitting or timely. That revelation complicated the narrative, because it no longer painted these setbacks as some lingering family feud or a royal feud spilling beyond the palace walls. No, doors were closing thousands of miles away on the other side of the Atlantic, entirely due to political judgments and protocol. As the saying goes, it takes two to tango. But as if that wasn't enough, a far more profound challenge waited in the wings. While those political and diplomatic opportunities began dwindling, a parallel crisis was quietly unfolding beneath Harry and Meghan's glitzy media ventures. Their massive streaming deals, once considered bulletproof pillars of their post-royal future, were starting to show cracks.
Just talking about yesterday, and it is absolutely unbelievable how the turnaround happened within less than 24 hours. It's bad. Let's get into this, y'all.
Game. But I was with Harry for 13 months, 15 months when I wrote his biography. I really, really liked him. He was so nice. He was easy. He was good. And then Meghan came, and I was with him for a while about that, but he changed immediately. She had to win. She had to tell him what to do.
Netflix and Spotify platforms they had poured so much hope and creativity into began to lose momentum. Interest waned, projects stalled, and critics grew louder, questioning what substantial foothold Harry and Meghan truly had left in the entertainment world. The once glowing prospects of a limitless, flourishing future outside the monarchy were dimming. The powerful luster that initially surrounded their grand media ambitions was fading, exposing a hard truth lurking beneath the surface of their carefully crafted public image. Stability and success in this new chapter might not be as guaranteed as they had hoped. For all their efforts to break free and carve out their own space, their strongest link had always been the royal family, the very institution they spent 5 intense years publicly scrutinizing. Think about that. Launching documentaries, penning revealing books, giving candid interviews, and stirring up public disagreements, all while tightly tethered to the source of that drama. It's almost like trying to build an empire far away from the palace walls, only to realize that the powerful connection you so boldly walked away from remains the reason the world won't stop watching. Imagine the irony.
She's out to destroy. She does not like the royal family, and coming back, she will be reveling in the fact that their return is causing chaos for King Charles and his family. She wants to destroy the royal family.
Yes. She's one of these people, there are not many of them, that actually can't bear losing. She has to win. She tried to win even to get in front of the line of the royal family when they were going out, and the Queen was there, and, it doesn't matter. Meghan's got to win.
I disagree. I think, no offense, but I think Meghan Markle is incredibly dangerous. She tried to destroy our monarchy with lies about racism, and I don't want her back.
So now he's coming back with a lot of power and determination, and will do it his way, and he's absolutely going to ruin it. So the fact that he's saying that he wants to see his father and how he cares for him, honestly, it's just a disgusting lie.
Go make your own way. Go be someone else's responsibility. We're done. Yet the spotlight refuses to fade. And then came the kicker, the buzzing headline figure tied to how much it might cost to protect 2 individuals who hadn't only openly discussed their fears and concerns about facing discrimination in Britain, but had also opened a nationwide conversation on safety and inclusion. If that figure was anywhere near accurate, it would ignite a frenzy of public debate unlike anything before. Years of declarations about feeling unsafe and out of place, only to return with a potential security bill running into the millions, whipped up a perfect storm of awkward questions and discomfort. But this wasn't some random estimate tossed around on a viral post or a tabloid rumor mill. The numbers were coming straight from a legitimate voice, a former chief of royal protection himself. He wasn't just speculating, he was doing the math in real time, peeling back the layers of what it actually takes to keep someone safe at that level of scrutiny. One armoured vehicle, for instance, was clocked at around £500,000. Add the technical gear, Strategy planning, support, infrastructure, all of it, and the tally was reported to swiftly approach the £1 million mark before even a single security officer got on the payroll. Suddenly, what might have seemed like a family spat was now a high-stakes financial puzzle. Every new security measure, every extra set of eyes, added another hefty chunk to the bill. As questions started flying about who would ultimately foot the enormous tab,
there was one royal place he was going to stay, Harry, for a day, because he's then going off to look after a charity, which is children who are not well, and he does something there. Now, the royal family, the royal place is a royal place, and that's an inn with the royal family. The other one with the children is not. So he's already proven that it's in and out.
All I need to say is this looks bad for Meghan, and I can't imagine wanting to now go live in the United Kingdom, like be a real full, whole-grown person living in the United Kingdom, and people are just losing their minds because you got a role on a show that is shot in Great Britain. That tells you better think twice about going back to the UK.
the conversation veered sharply into uncomfortable territory. And then, inevitably, the infamous comparison emerged, the one involving Prince Andrew. Importantly, this wasn't some troll in the depths of internet forums or a sensationalist headline chasing clicks, but a serious parallel drawn in the heart of the debate, ratcheting up the tension even further and ensuring this story wouldn't fade quietly anytime soon. Imagine hearing this from a man who didn't just dabble in royal matters but once spearheaded security for the monarchy itself. The weight of that comparison is staggering here. Was a former official who had first-hand experience guarding the royal family, now discussing Harry and Meghan's predicament in the same breath as Prince Andrew, whose public royal duties were severely curtailed after years of public scrutiny and controversy. Now, this didn't mean their situations were identical. Far from it. But just the very act of placing these two in the same conversation sent shockwaves. It revealed the depth of concern among former insiders about the complex security and institutional challenges posed by the Sussexes.
I think that if they can't get a home, they can go and stay with Charles Spencer, Harry's uncle, and he can do that. But I think the whole thing is that the aura will be awful.
Doors that once seemed open to Harry and Meghan were closing at a rapid pace. Rumors swirling about strained family ties and tense negotiations behind closed curtains. Yet, while the headlines screamed of family rifts, security worries, and rejected pleas for reconciliation, the real story simmered below the surface, unfolding in a way that no one expected. Amid all the noise about doors slamming shut, Harry and Meghan were quietly plotting moves that painted a contrasting picture, one full of opportunity and ambition. Behind the public drama was a tantalizing secret, something that hadn't yet exploded into the headlines but was poised to change everything. There were whispers of a brand new job opportunity on the horizon, something that suggested Harry's return to Britain wasn't just a sentimental family visit or a bid for peace and quiet. In fact, reports were emerging about a role in the much-anticipated third series of Guy Ritchie's Netflix show. Suddenly, the narrative took on a whole new dimension. This wasn't just about royal drama or security concerns. It was an entertainment comeback that could redefine Harry's path forward. The figure being tossed around, a jaw-dropping £1 million, signaling this was no small cameo but a serious career move. The timing of these reports added layers of intrigue. Harry's move back to the UK wasn't just about reconnecting with his roots or slipping into a calmer life. If the rumors were true, a high-profile role on a globally watched platform like Netflix awaited him, a role that might reshape public perception and open doors far beyond palace walls. This secret opportunity, hiding beneath all the royal tension and speculation, was ready to burst into the spotlight. And just like that, Harry's story was no longer just about the past. It was about an electrifying future waiting just out of sight. A tempting payday was supposedly dangling just out of reach. Anna, someone deeply connected with royal insiders, revealed a juicy tidbit. The rumored offer for Prince Harry to appear in the third season of Guy Ritchie's hit show, The Gentleman, had been suddenly withdrawn. Why? It seemed Ritchie had reached a breaking point. The backlash online, the swirling gossip, and the headlines were becoming too much distractions he simply didn't want to deal with. The project had moved from a carefully guarded secret to public controversy far too quickly, entangling Richie with a figure already dominating every news cycle in unexpected ways. But then, according to Anna's account, everything changed almost overnight. Harry's behavior took a sharp turn, a shift so pronounced it left those watching stunned. It wasn't just the usual media speculation anymore. It felt like a puzzle piece clicking into place. The man once described with warmth and empathy now seemed different. A royal whose image was evolving in ways even long-time observers struggled to understand. What had really happened to this prince, so often portrayed through wildly different lenses? Crucially, this wasn't just idle gossip from afar. This perspective came from someone who had actually shared space with Harry, who had witnessed this transformation firsthand. That first-hand experience gave the claim a weight that echoed through the conversations rippling throughout the British commentary community. Diverse voices, from all corners of the commentary spectrum, began to quietly agree. There was an undeniable change in Harry. Not subtle, not suggestive, but a shift that might explain the ongoing turmoil surrounding the royal family. And that's what hangs over this entire comeback like a shadow. The real controversy isn't just Harry's decision to return to Britain. The public narrative, filled with empathy toward a son supporting a father struggling with cancer, paints a touching, emotional journey. But beneath the surface, critics argue that the story doesn't add up. The timing of legal battles, the high security costs, disappearing opportunities in the US, whispered rumors of new job, offers all these threads weave together into a far more complicated picture, one that hints at deeper, more strategic motives driving this royal drama, turning every detail into a clue that only fans and critics alike are racing to decipher. The reality, however, was far more tangled than anyone might have expected. Sure, maybe reconnecting with his father was truly important to Harry on a personal level, but skeptics began to question whether that heartfelt reason told the full story, or if it was just the most relatable explanation for a return that seemed to have plenty of other motivations lurking beneath the surface. His brief appearances felt like quick stops, popping into one royal venue for just a day, then heading straight off to an event that seemed completely unrelated to family matters. Observers noticed a familiar pattern emerging almost immediately, Harry wearing the royal emblem, yet not holding any formal royal duties. That created awkward optics that didn't go unnoticed. In fact, it closely echoed what the White House had reportedly turned down, an arrangement where there'd be an unclear overlap between official roles and personal ventures. It matched exactly the kind of boundary William was said to have carefully cemented that very morning. Harry could remain family, sure, but without being a working royal. Yet, whenever Harry's commercial projects featured royal titles, venues, or connections, critics couldn't help but wonder if that clear line truly existed at all. So, let's circle back to those rooms once more. By this point, those rooms had transformed from mere locations into symbols of opportunity, or the lack thereof, for Harry and Meghan. The list of spaces still open to them was growing brutally short. It wasn't the palace anymore, nor Windsor Castle, or even Highgrove. Blair House was off limits. The Oval Office? Definitely not an option. Even the traditional Christmas celebrations at Sandringham were seemingly ruled out. According to the latest information, there wasn't a clear path back inside the core circle of working royals either. One by one, those once accessible prestigious rooms and influential circles that critics linked to the Sussexes were quietly disappearing from the map. This comeback might have physically brought them closer to the heart of royalty, but carving out a genuine space within the institution itself looked increasingly unlikely, a subtle reminder that sometimes being near the crown doesn't mean you're truly part of the kingdom. It almost felt like a completely different battle, a struggle not waged with swords or speeches, but with doors slowly closing and doors left slightly ajar. And this is exactly where our story finds its final chapter. Not at Buckingham Palace, that grand symbol of British royalty, nor the storied halls of Windsor Castle, or even the serene estate of Highgrove. Instead, according to various reports, the practical reality had shifted dramatically. One of the options quietly discussed was Harry and Meghan possibly staying with an uncle, a far more ordinary refuge compared to the palatial homes they once called familiar. Think about just how stark this contrast is. In America, Harry and Meghan had sought entry into Blair House, the esteemed residence reserved for visiting global leaders, an emblem of honor and respect. Yet, over here, closer to the heart of the monarchy, the conversation descended from grandeur to simplicity, focusing on a place more modest, somewhere within the extended family's embrace. But here's the crucial point. The biggest door was never about bedrooms full of history, majestic palaces, or prestigious addresses. No, it always centered on something far deeper, the door back into the working royal circle. And this is the twist that sets the stage for everything going forward. William reportedly clinched a firm promise from King Charles himself. Harry and Meghan are welcome to return as family members, but not as active, working royals. That boundary, clear and unyielding, may very well define their future. They could live in Britain, they could attend private gatherings within the family walls, and they might even rebuild bridges away from the public eye. But the invitation to re-enter official royal duties, it seems that door has been closed with a line firmly drawn in the sand. Now, I'm turning to you for your thoughts. Is William justified in setting this hard boundary, protecting the integrity of the working royal family? Or do you believe Harry and Meghan deserve a second chance, a full return to their roles? Let me know where you stand. Drop your opinion in the comments below with all the reasons behind your view. And if this story captured your attention, go ahead and click that like button, subscribe to the channel for more royal insights, and share this video with fellow royal watchers who love to dive into the drama. Your comments and support truly mean the world and help keep this channel going strong. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.